It's a whole lot of us, that's my family. Wanna go higher, turn up the tempo, increase the BPM, okay. Increase the BPM, increase the BPM, increase the BPM, increase the BPM.
What's up, guys? This is Chris with FCA here at the University of Louisville. Welcome to our weekly podcast, In the Huddle, where we ask current or former athletes and coaches into this space, into this huddle, to talk about what God has done, what he's doing, and what he's continued to do. Man, I am incredibly excited about today. Got one of my buddies here that played soccer at U of L, Pedro Fonseca. I'm so excited that you're here, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here with you.
Well, we're going to have some fun today, man. Tell us, growing up in Rio de Janeiro, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me what it was like growing up in your family in Rio.
I mean, I have some great memories growing up in Rio. I think like when I was since I can remember, my dad was kind of part of the family. He was a present dad, but he and my mom were divorced. They were not together. So I remember growing up and have a lot of memories just playing soccer on the streets with neighbors and my little brother as well. And since the very beginning, since I was a little kid, probably like 6, 7 years old, playing ball, playing soccer. Soccer is the most popular sport in Brazil. It's kind of like pretty much everybody plays soccer in Brazil. So always with a soccer ball in my feet, and just was kind of like a way also where you could kind of like forget all the issues, all the problems that you might have, that I had, in my personal life and things like that. But yeah, some great memories growing up there and with families and friends.
Yeah. So was soccer the only sport? I know soccer was your sport.
Yeah.
But was there other sports that you kind of dabbled in, or was it really soccer? Is that really the only sport you play there?
Yeah. So I mean, that is all, pretty much all the sports that we see. Like I would say, besides American football and baseball, all the other sports, basketball, volleyball, swimming, all of those sports were kind of like, an option. But I do remember I have a pretty I remember being about 7 years old, and my mom had put me to play soccer and to do swimming. So first was the soccer class, and kind of like 6 to 7, and then 7 to 8 was swimming. And I was young, but kind of like this club, neighborhood club, was like 2 minutes walking from my house. So in the beginning, my mom would take me. After I felt, more comfortable, I would just walk by myself with my brother sometimes. And I remember when my mom would no longer take us, we would go and we would train, we would do the soccer session, and then we would not go to the swimming session.
No swimming.
We would ask the coach, hey, can we stay for the next class as well? And the guy liked us, so he would let me and my brother just stay. And from that moment on, I mean, my mom kind of understood. She got upset because she was like, I have been paying these swimming classes for you guys, but she just kind of just understood, like, okay, these kids are passionate about this.
Tell me about, obviously soccer, you said it's the most recognizable sport in Brazil. Obviously a great Brazilian national team. At what age did you feel like, okay, I'm gifted at this sport? How old were you when that really started to kind of click that you were going to play this?
Yeah, so that's a great point, right? Like something that I want to make it clear is that it's not that soccer is kind of like, no, everybody ignores the other sports. It's just because what people have seen over the years is that Brazil, it's a country that it's not like U.S., right? So the U.S., you have this system where pretty much anybody can go to university, right? You can get loans at the worst case scenario, go to school and get your degree and, get a job. In Brazil, it's like, it's a third world country. So what happens in these places is there is some rich people, some people in the middle, but a lot of people who don't have, very much financially. So the sport become a way of people like change their lives, change their family lives. So what you see a lot is most of these top players, most of these kids grew up like in tough conditions, you know, sometimes don't even have enough to eat. Their parents, you know, sacrificing their own career to pretty much bet on invest on their kids. You know, you have some crazy stories where parents quit their jobs completely to pretty much live off what the club was paying kids, you know, maybe like $1,000 a month, living off that to invest on that, and ended up that worked. But there is a lot of kids who don't make it.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, a way of changing your life, as you can imagine, as, you know, a kid, if you don't have much money, becoming a professional soccer player, like playing in Brazil or even in Europe or whatever it is, like, and make a good living, it can change your life. So in terms of making money, it was this mean sport that you could like play and eventually become like, you know, financially stable. So I think going back to your question, I think that the time that I kind of like looked at myself in the mirror and was like, okay, maybe, I believe I'm good enough. Like maybe I can make it. I think this is something possible. Was when I started in like a real like professional academy. At that time, you no longer like pay for anything. They actually pay something for you to help you to get your training and things like that. I was about 9 years old.
9 years old.
Yeah, so that was kind of the time where I.
So 9, you started really committing and dedicating your life to the sport.
100%.
Yeah.
Like the schedule, I would say it was even busier than now. That I'm actually like, you know, a professional, get paid to play is like, I'm telling you, the schedule is crazy. So to start off, we'll go to school from 7 to noon, right? And that's not many hours. After that, you go home, lunch, training afternoon, break, snack, training at night, every day. So weekends were like crazy.
And you're not with other 9-year-olds. You're with probably guys much older.
I mean, at the time, it's like the way how it goes is like you play with guys same age as you.
Okay.
But it's like the academy at the time, you were playing with guys same age as you, what's good, but it's not like all of those kids, myself included, it's not that you have a regular 9-year-old kid life. You know, you're pretty much living like a pretty much a professional
life.
Yeah.
That's so you're obviously you're gifted at this sport. You're playing at this, you know, academy. You're learning. It's becoming your life. I could just even see it in your eyes when you just said, that you're totally committed to this. I mean, it's an investment for these people. And you never been out of the country, had you?
I mean, over the years, like when I first started, I played from the age of probably 7 to 15. When I was 15, I had the opportunity to move to Spain by myself.
Spain by yourself at 15?
Barcelona, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm having this conversation with my parents, like how, you know, as you are a father, you know, now I am a father. So it's like, how can you imagine letting your 15-year-old go into another country? At the time, I had another kid who went with me, a very close friend of mine, but it's still 15-year-old kid, you know, going
I'm not letting
to
my 15-year-old go down the street by himself, it seems like.
Exactly. So that was like the first experience out of the country, you know, and that was life-changing, right? And then I had other opportunities to go to other places, Portugal, and end up coming to the U.S. when I was 19-year-old. So
19-year-old. So when you came to the U.S., that's when you came to University of Louisville.
Not yet.
Okay.
I came first through a friend to play for a club in Los Angeles, California. So I was there for about year and a half, like playing some competitions with them. My goal was still, I want to sign a professional contract. But the way how things were shaping, and I believe that was God, you know, like really directing my steps, where I was able to get a scholarship here in Louisville, even that was playing the other side of the country, and ended up coming here. And
Why Louisville? We know God,
Right.
but like how had you even heard of Louisville?
No, to be honest, I didn't even know Kentucky was a state. To be honest with you, and you know that we have had some good and honest and funny conversations,
Yeah.
right, along the years. But that is the truth.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about it at the time. I was there in Los Angeles. That's kind of like a similar city as like Rio in terms of, you have the beach, you have the good weather and all of that. But I had very clear in my mind that I want to play professionally. And what I heard from other guys who were like going to college and stuff is that the ACC was the best conference for soccer. So I want to give myself the best shot. At the time, I had the opportunity, a few, scholarships offered there in LA, but I remember that I was kind of like already committed to a D2 school because they didn't know if I was going to be eligible for D1. But then I play a few soccer, a few pretty big competitions. I was playing for an amateur team, but against professional teams, and ended up scoring some goals. And it was kind of like a big deal at the time.
Yeah.
And so this guy that I knew, an agent, reached out to Ken, and the story is pretty cool. Ken also can give you that testimony because he had a player already committed on a full scholarship. And the guy called him in June telling, I'm not coming, I'm signing a professional contract. So he was no longer coming like August. Very difficult to find a good player, in that like short period of time. Like was the same time that he started making some calls, got in touch with this guy. We were on the phone for like about 10 minutes and ended up coming here. And,
Well, when you're on the phone with somebody like Ken Lola, I mean, I don't want to say he's a salesman, but he believes in the product that he puts out.
100%.
And he believes in the message that he preaches, and he lives by the message that he preaches.
Right.
And so for to have a coach, a very successful coach at a successful program, ask you to be part of this, I mean, like you're probably sold in the
Right.
first 10 minutes, aren't you?
Right. I think it's that's the most important thing in my opinion. Like you said, you live a life according to what you talk.
Yeah.
And same thing about you. We have had conversations where you invite me, hey, would you go grab food? And when we start doing the discipleship thing, I remember that you say, I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna teach you those steps, and you're gonna do it. But one thing that's clear is that you live that, and you truly believe in that. And it's the same thing that Ken does. It's there are principles in his life, are not just a hobby, something that he pick and choose when he apply. He lives what he talks about, and when I spoke to him, one of the things that I do remember that were so convicting and were like so impactful was that we're going to help you to prepare yourself, not just for soccer, but at some point the ball is gonna stop rolling for you. And we want to make sure that we prepare you for that as well. And that was like game changer for me, because everybody who get on the phone with is about, our program is great. You're going to make the draft. You're going to make the pros. Okay, but that's just result of hard work and many other things, right? But what about the other side? Not just the soccer part, but what about everything else, right? That we know that it's massive important.
And when you get a guy that will teach you principles off the field, but he is really, really good at coaching on the field, what a great combination. So you're on the phone, you commit, you come to Louisville. You didn't even know that Kentucky was a state, and now you're at the University of Louisville,
Right.
And you're part of an incredible program. But what goes on through your mind when you come on campus? Now you're part of the University of Louisville. Now what? You're
Yeah.
so far away from home.
Yeah, I mean that. To be honest, that was never a problem for me. I thought that at that point I was prepared. Like I was mentally prepared to be here. I was mentally prepared for the challenge, and I knew uh, that I was in the right place. That was never like something that I questioned. But the challenge for me was not everything went the way how I expected to go, and I think that that's the encouragement. Is like look at my journey at my after I graduate and I got drafted and I reached the goal, is to know that like your story is not the same as everybody else's. And my expectation was to come in freshman year, bang goals, drafted by, did my job, go where but God had a different plan. I do remember that I was trying to do everything on my own and was just so much frustration simply because like was my freshman year was like I got on campus injured, got back, played one game, next game injured. So at the end of the season was able to play and help the team. We ended up winning the ACC, what was awesome.
What year did you come in? Just so everybody
2018 fall.
2018,
Yeah, in the
okay.
fall. And that was great, but was not how I expected. And I remember that was a year of so much growth for me because that was kind of when I got closer to God and I draw closer to Him because I just didn't have answers. Like you said, I came to a place where I didn't know many people. I just felt in a way like alone, like helpless in a way, simply because okay, I got to where I want to be. That is one more step that I want to take, but I'm not able to take this step alone. I just couldn't, and that's where I draw close to God, and I could really feel how He started like changing my perspective in things.
We know a lot of people when they don't know something, they feel threatened, embarrassed, secluded. They don't want to come back anymore. If somebody's like, man, I don't know anything about that, they just kind of, you were never like that. Like you didn't know, but you knew that you didn't know, and you
Right.
wanted to know.
Right.
And so you kept coming around. Like, what's your first kind of like your early memories of? Because being raised in Brazil, it wasn't a big part of your life, was it?
No.
Yeah.
I was raised Catholic. Was going to church like once a week. My mom kind of like forced us to go, me and my brother, and we went. I mean, but never having a relationship with God was never like a priority or anything. But I did always believed in God, and I always knew that God was with me, like took care of me, and always put so many amazing people in my life, like intentionally to help me in every step that I took. So in LA, I have memories of people like that. In here, I knew as soon as I got here, oh my goodness, like God's doing it again. So, like you said, I still don't know everything, still figured it out, right? Learning, but I was just searching for answers. To be honest, with you.
And just honest answers, like,
Right.
Or I'm sorry, honest questions. It was just like, so, you had an understanding of God, but a lot of our conversations were, hey, God wants to take He wants to take the reins of your life in this direction. He wants to have complete ownership
Right.
of this area in your life, and it never pushed you away because it wasn't in a threatening way. We were just having like conversations,
Right.
and man, you kept coming back and kept inquiring and like wanting to know, and there was just an eagerness to learn the truths of what God had for your life.
Right.
And so tell me, like even about FCA. I know FCA was, you not only were there, but then you became a leader. You spoke at places. What was it about FCA that what drew you to FCA?
I think for me it was it was like the stories that we read in the Bible, right? Like starting picking up the Bible and like thinking about just like I always felt like in a way, like even growing up in Brazil, like the people in the Bible and myself, the priest and myself, the pastor and myself, we are so far apart. Like these guys are in a holy place. These guys in a, a much higher place that I am, and I'm not even close to them. So we live this life sometimes thinking, I'm just never gonna get there, so I'm not gonna try, right? But eventually you find a place, and that's what I felt at FCA. That I think it was like game changer for me. That was like, okay, no, like I don't have to change everything about me because there is things in my life that God put it specifically, right?
Yeah.
Like in me, so I can have an impact in other people's, especially in the people around me. So being around other athletes made me understand, okay, like part of my personality, part of like who I am, I is good, and I can have an impact in young people, in guys on my team, and I need to see God because I need to change according to His word, but I don't have to change everything about me. It's not just about going like on Sundays to church and being a completely different person. It's I can be who I am, like Pedro, but when I know how much God loves me and when I know like how much He desires to have a relationship with me, that's what I think it changes so much. And that was like the importance of FCA is like would read the word and I'm sitting in my seat and I'm thinking, man, like David and these guys, like they made mistakes. Like they were
Yes.
like men like us, but their repenting heart allowed them to grow into a relationship with the Lord and to really like understand His plan for their lives, and like that allowed them to be better, right? To not stay in that place where they were, not be the same person. Oh, except God, I'll be the same one. No, you actually you're a better person. You're becoming someone better, right? So I thought that was the great for me about FCA was like the fellowship with other athletes as well. See like how they led their team, and we have so many examples. Like just the time that I was here, the 4 years, like Tori Differ in the volleyball team, Gabi in the women's soccer team, and so many good examples of men and women of God who accept the call and like had an impact in their teammates' lives.
Well, you definitely made a difference. Obviously within the soccer program, yes, but also just within the FCA community. So you graduate. Tell us about. Okay, so you graduate. What did that look like for you when you graduated?
So when I graduated, I got drafted by Real Salt Lake on the MLS draft. So I went to Utah. So I was living in Salt Lake City for 1 year there, and yeah, kind of like stepping into like the dream, like what I always wanted when I first came here. But
you're going into this differently now,
right, completely different mentality, because I get there and I face and I will go through some similar situations that I did when I first got here when I was a freshman, because you get to the next level, you're back to the bottom, right? Like you're back to like you were kind of like a nobody. But I do remember one of those like FCA nights that you were talking about that. And that's the song, right? I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about Jesus, and I remember going through like a tough time in the beginning, not having many answers about many things that were happening there. But I knew about one thing. I knew about Jesus, and I knew that okay, whatever I am part of it, I'm gonna try to have an impact. So that was the cool part, was because when I was there, and I ended up being more with kind of the reserve team, with the like second team. Well, that was more like young guys, and those guys were about like college age. So we start like a Bible study, and we had an impact. Now I see like kids got baptized. Some kids are getting baptized now years after of that happened, and send me messages saying, "Hey man, thanks for the impact you had in my life." Like at the time I wasn't so interested, but now like I see, and I'm grateful because God used me that way. Uh, and I know that that would be so much harder without God because we don't have all the answers. We just don't.
Man, I love hearing that, man. That to me, that's someone that got here, inquired and wanted to know about God, was invited to understand more about God, accepted Him as their Lord and Savior, but then also said, "Hey, that doesn't stop. Now I can disciple someone as I was discipled. Now I can disciple someone." And to hear you do that to your players and seeing some teammates getting baptized and be part of Bible study, that's what it's all about in my mind. You played great soccer. One of the things I remember, the thing that we would talk about is just how relationships, that God has a perfect person that is to add to your life and to grow you spiritually, but also for you to grow her spiritually. And when God does that, man, He's going to set you on a path where if this is something that God wants to be part of, it is going to change. It's going to change your world. And so you meet this girl, and this girl you've known for a long time because Christiana's is Coach Lola's daughter.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That now your soccer coach is your father-in-law.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a cool testimony because he'll tell you that he always tell the story of how he was in his backyard, and 3 years previous, he resigned. God told him, "You're gonna resign the job in 3 years," and he hustled with God for days, months, weeks,
Yeah.
even all the way close to the time that he left Louisville was never something that he quite understood. Like, why 3 years? Why 3 years? And God told him, "I will restore your program." And he left winning the ACC and all of that. But one thing that he tells me is like, I never understood why 3 years, but I have the conviction now that I might not understand 100% everything, but you were the last player that I ever recruit. And up that Christian and I got married and everything, but it was a full process, right? Like when I tell the story that Ken once coached me, recruited me here, and now he's my father-in-law. Everybody thinks about, oh my goodness, like that's wild, but it wasn't like that, It was a process, and God had to take me in that journey because when I first got here, I wasn't prepared to, first of all, to get married to anybody, but especially to marry somebody like her, who spiritually was much in a much better place and much more mature than I was. Was a journey to kind of understand who I was in Christ and to really understand marriage. Still learning, but to understand not what the word says about marriage, but really what the Bible and what the Lord has to say about it. And I think that was the awesome part. One of the things that for me it's so important, like you said, it's marrying somebody who is spiritually how you say it, same like yoke, like
Evenly yoked.
evenly yoke. It's so important because especially when you become a father, when you become a dad and you have kids and you understand how important it is the person you got married to, because that person is raising with you, of course, but as a mom especially, like raising your child. So it's amazing. It's just amazing to see like how good and how dedicated of a mom she is, and just like you having a wife who prays for you and reminds you of God's promise, because you know that like I go through sometimes times where I'm like, I don't understand this. This is frustrating. Why this? And she's able to direct me to the word, to God's promise, and I know that if it wasn't because of that, how much harder it would be.
Yeah, that's what a great testimony of that, man. That just the whole evolution of, to recruit you, to you come, you contribute on the soccer, but you got to watch him be a Christian coach.
Right.
He lived out those principles probably as much as any coach that I have ever been around. Ken Lola has probably, not that you want to rank people, but he just lived it out.
Right.
Not only that, but the way he modeled marriage in
Yeah.
front of you guys. I mean, Miss Tina was around your all's team a lot,
Right.
and the way he treated her. I don't think I've ever seen him out anywhere where Miss Tina probably wasn't close
Right.
or on her way there.
Right.
What's little things that you kind of picked out when you saw Ken and Tina, how they lived their marriage? What's some things that just stuck out with you? Like, man, that's different. That's
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's a great question. I think like it's a partnership, right? So they are, like you said, so hard to see them like not being together. They're a team and a very strong team. And I think that when you are an athlete, you have been in the sport world, like when a team, how good a team it is when they're like so together and they kind of like understand each other. I think like that. I loved like the way how in every accomplishment that he had or any opportunity he has to speak, he'll always say Tina and I, whatever else. Like and the reason why is he always makes sure that she's included because he knows that he wouldn't be able to do what he does without her. And it's still the same today, even if he's no longer in the coaching. But they have their ministry and it's the same thing is he brings something, he has his abilities that God gave him, but he knows that she does as well and that kind of like completes. And I think that that's kind of like the part that I love is that when I was looking for a partner, I didn't want somebody just like me because that will probably not work out, right? And the reason why is because you need people who can pretty much like help you in the things that you need help with, and you also can help them in the things that they do. And so for me, I just love the way how, like you said, they treat each other so well. You never see them. I never saw them arguing or like disagreeing in front of people. They're always so polite to one another. And I think it's like a great definition of what love in the Bible, is. It's patient, it's kind. And so I think that was like something really key. And not just in their relationship with one another, but the way how they love other people. I thought that was, and I have seen over the years the way how they get out of their way to just serve others and help people. Like it's incredible.
It's not a show. It's not a
No.
facade. It is a real lifestyle.
Right.
And that, where we get the biblical term is just being filled with the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Like they are a couple and a family that lives their life to be poured out for others.
Correct.
And they live that example. And their daughter, your wife, Christiana, is like that as well. I mean, she's a very gifted singer.
Mm-hmm.
She sings. She's a worship leader. Just an incredible gift. What has marriage taught you?
Many things. I mean, like you said, one of the things that I love about Christiana is she has had many opportunities to sing regular music, secular music, right? And she always goes back to the same thing. It's like, I'm not gonna do that. I know that the Lord gave me this gift, and I know the direction He gave me. That was to be a worship leader, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I love that because it shows that it's never for like her own glory, and I feel like that's something convicting for me that makes me be better because it's kind of like I can look at myself and like questioning sometimes, am I doing this just for my own glory? Am I doing this for, for me? Or am I doing for God? I'm doing for to serve others. So that's like a something like that that's good. For her, I mean, marriage has taught me so many things. It's like you don't you learn more and more about the person you're married with. You don't when you get married and you know you you get engaged and all of that it's awesome. But when you start like real life, you learn more about the other person, and has been a beautiful journey, to be honest with you. I think like the advice I would give to any like young couple who gets married, it's like I know that a lot of people say, yeah, you're gonna have the happy years, and then like don't believe that.
No.
Simply because it's like it's what you make of it, right? So it's like it's a garden, and if you take care of it, it will always be beautiful. If you
Right.
don't take care of it, will will be ugly. But it's really up to you to continue to date your wife after you got married as well. And I'm grateful because I didn't have many examples of that when I grew up. And when I saw Ken and Tina, when I saw you and Tammy, and when I saw other couple, for me that was like very encouraging because it's kind of like, man, that's awesome. Because it's 5, 10, 20, 30 years
Yes.
like on the road that you are able to like tell, it's easy to say in the beginning, and it's true. But after years and years, when you're able to see like people still, a couple being kind to one another, being caring, and all of that, I think that's what it's really,
Well, I
really
meant
good.
everything that you said. I mean, I've been married 23 years to Tammy, and I still learn. I still learn about her. I still want to learn more about her, and not to just settle for what the world thinks. Oh, you've passed the honeymoon stage. It's going to wear out. No, it's not, because my marriage is supposed to be a reflection of Christ.
Right.
That He'll never give up on me. That He'll continue to pour His life out for me. Yeah. Well, also not just a husband, but a father. Tell me about your daughter, and tell me what it's like to be a dad.
Yeah, that's a it's a life-changing thing. I mean, it's just like so special. I don't think it's you can really explain it like until you are, a father or mother. It's like, first of all, you receive like I feel a supernatural strength because the you don't have as much sleeping as before. That's for sure. But man, how wonderful it is when you get home and like the little ones there and just smiling at you, and even at 4 a.m. sometimes like right awake and just smiling at you, and it's kind of like if all the problems in the world are gone. And and it's also a great sense of responsibility. And one of the main reasons why, when I was walking that journey, and you say that you would invite me and I would come, and I would know that I wasn't there yet, but I would keep coming, was because I always had the desire to be a father and to be a present father. And maybe simply because of my relationship with my dad growing up, that maybe was something that I desired and I didn't have. But one of my goals was, man, one day I want to be a wonderful father, and I don't want to be, and I want to have a wonderful family, not just be a father that's not there all the time because of mistakes and decisions I made. And I knew that who I was, I couldn't do on my own. I knew that. I had that conviction, and I knew I'm just not good enough. Like I will let people down. And I knew that when I first encountered Christ, like truly, and His love, and having people like yourself and can to mentor me and to teach me and see how God was doing in your lives, I was like, okay, that's what I need. Like I need that because that's gonna be how I'm gonna be able to be the person I know that I'm supposed to be.
Well,
So
man, it's it's a joy to watch you grow into and still becoming the man that He has called you to be. Tell me what He's teaching you. What's God teaching you through His Word? What's God teaching you?
I think right now, I'm in this Bible study with Ken and other young men as well, and we have been we walked through the gospel, and now we are in Acts. Have been through some different books in the Bible, but one of the things that has really like call my attention lately was when God was speaking to His prophet, and He asked, "Son of man, can these bones live?" And that question kind of got stuck in my head. Like, why is God is asking the man, right?
Mm.
If the dry bones could live again.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because the normal would be the man asking, "Hey God, can these bones live again? Can these dry bones live again?" Like, because God's the one who has the answers, right? And the response from the prophet was pretty good. Was actually not full of faith, but was also not like, he said, "Only you know,
Yeah.
Lord, only you know." And God started to speak into him. Tell these bones, say this and this and this, and they start to come back to life. And I feel like that's something that has been speaking to me because I'm in a stage where I have been believing for something, but you might be believing for a while and get to a point where you start to maybe questioning God. And God's pretty much in like, if you want your situation to live again, whatever it is, right? There is the dry bones.
Yeah,
But whatever,
that could be dead relationships.
anything,
That could be a dead marriage. That
right?
could be a dead whatever. No,
Right.
speak
To it.
Yeah, speak to it. Speak life. Speak truth. Speak God's word.
Right.
And man, what a blessing is that. Well, let me ask you this last question. If you could go back and let's just say, how old are you now?
27.
27. 27. If you could possibly go back and talk to a 9-year-old Pedro that's at that academy, what would you tell him? Or even a freshman in high school, now knowing what you know now, or college, what would you say to that younger Pedro?
Man, that's a that's a great question. I think for me it would be I think it would probably be like, keep working, keep doing what you're doing. You won't let your mom down. You honor all the sacrifice she's doing. My mom growing up made a huge sacrifice for me and my brother to be able to pursue and to chase this dream. And that was the main reason why to be honest, even before having a relationship with God, was the main reason why I kept going. And so many doors were closed, and I kept going, kept on going, kept on going, and not giving up on the dream. At times, adapting, going on different roads. But I think that would be the main thing, because I always had clear in my head, like, I don't want to let her down. I don't want to let her down. I wanna honor the effort, that everything that she's doing. And now looking back, I know I did. I'm still doing it. But more than anything right now, I'm able to have conversations with my mom about faith. And I'm able to impact her and bring her also close, like to seek the Lord and to lean into Him, and to understand that on our own it's not possible. So I think that's what I would say that was the most impactful for me.
Well, man, it's been a joy for me to be able to have you here. I love you. I'm super proud of you. You've always added value to anything that you were part of.
I appreciate it.
And whether that's Louisville soccer, whether that's FCA, whether that's Kid and Tina, whether that's Christiana in your marriage, your daughter, your mom. Man, I want to continue to speak that to you. You add value. People are better because you're around. So, man, again, thanks for being here. I know you're still playing professional soccer, and God still has some things that He's going to do with you on that. And I believe that, and just thanks for taking the time to be here.
Absolutely. You know that I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you guys do here. I know that has a major impact, and sometimes you might not see all the seeds that you guys are planting on people's lives, but even in my life, I think that when I look back and think how much different my experience, college experience could have been without you guys, without the faith part, without the opportunity to show up on a Monday night and hear the word of God and the encouragement and the fellowship, and to know, okay, it's possible for me as well. That has an impact that we cannot measure. So I love you. I appreciate you and your family, and has been a blessing to.
Well, thanks for coming, buddy.
Absolutely.